Before we start, I just want to tell you guys that the first issue of my comic Dark Phantom is available now on Comixology. The link is in the description, and it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. Been working on it for a long time, and I'm really proud with how it turned out. Thanks, and let's get on with the video. Hey, welcome to Class Act Media. I'm Jack, and I have a dark secret from my past I must share with you. When I was growing up, we didn't have cable. Well, you were all watching your SpongeBobs and your iCarlys. I was watching sitcoms from the 1960s and PBS Kids. My childhood was Fetch, Zoom, and of course Arthur, and I loved it. Today, we're going to be talking about a PBS Kids show that's been popping into my head a lot recently for reasons that should become clear in a minute. Today, we're talking about The Electric Company. To be clear, I'm talking about the reboot, not the original Electric Company that aired in the 70s. The only thing I know about that show is that Spider-Man showed up sometimes, so that's an immediate advantage it has over the reboot. Anyway, onto the show I watched. The Electric Company was a show with the primary purpose of teaching kids grammar and vocab. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jack, are you, a grown-ass adult man, really about to sit there and make fun of a harmless show made to educate children? Yeah. Okay, I'm not making fun of it, I'm just goofing. Just new boot goofing on a show I have some nostalgia for. Nothing wrong with that, that's not a crime, I'm not gonna go to jail for it. Anyway, back to The Electric Company. The show follows a team of neighborhood heroes called, you're not gonna believe it, The Electric Company. Each of them has superpowers that would be completely useless in any context but here. Okay, that's not entirely true. There's Hector, who has the power to perfectly recall any image he's seen, and his sister Jessica, who can perfectly recall any audio she's heard. That's hella useful, I want those powers. Then there's Keith, who has the power to create any drawing he can think of in front of him. Not very useful, but probably fun. And then there's Lisa, who has the power to scramble letters and make them into anagrams. Objectively the lamest power. On top of that, all of them have the power to throw these things called word balls, which can create words and letters on walls and other surfaces. This is normally known as vandalism, but I guess it's perfectly okay when they do it. Now, what would a hero team be without villains to fight? You guys know I love a good rogues gallery, and the Electric Company certainly has one. They're called the Pranksters, and they're essentially the evil Electric Company. There's Francine Carruthers, whose power is also word balls. Not off to a great start. I remember as a kid, it was always my headcanon that Francine was a disgraced former member of the Electric Company since she has the same base power as them without the added unique one. Hold on, is there an Electric Company wiki? I gotta look that up real quick. Okay, so a few things. 1, yes, there is an Electric Company wiki. 2, no, it doesn't say anything to confirm my theory about Francine's backstory. 3, apparently her dad is dead. I don't remember that in the show. And 4, I think the Electric Company wiki might be my new favorite website. It's just so detailed. For example, let's see what it has to say about the episode Oh Danny Boy. Incredible. Anyway, back to the Pranksters. There's also Annie Scrambler, who has the exact same power as Lisa. Okay, we're 0 for 2 so far. One detail I remember about Annie is that they make sure to tell us that she always smells like scrambled eggs. Gotta stay on brand, I guess. There's also Manny Spamboni, whose only superpower is his intellect and robot-making skills. And you know what? Good for him for breaking through the glass ceiling for non-powered people everywhere. I like to imagine a potential future scenario where Manny's moved on to full-on supervillainy and he's making like giant robots and death lasers and stuff, and the Electric Company's just like, we can throw words at him. And last but certainly not least, there's my favorite prankster, Danny Rebus, who has the ability to create rebus puzzles. You know, those things where it's a sentence and you use pictures to represent words? Yeah, those things. You may recognize Danny's actor as Chidi from The Good Place, and I promise you right now that I'm gonna limit myself to only making one Good Place joke. Guys, I have a confession to make. I wrote that section of the video before rewatching any episode of the show. All that information about the characters' names and powers was just in my head already. What is wrong with my brain? The Pranksters, as their name implies, are all about committing all sorts of fun, harmless little pranks that kids like to do. You know, classic stuff like cheating at ping pong, vandalizing billboards, turning people into lizards using dark magic. Don't lie, we've all been there. The main goal of the pranksters is usually to tarnish the reputation of the electric company in some way, and they tend to go pretty hardcore. Like the time Annie switched brains with Lisa in order to make people hate her, the implication of course is that Annie is willing to pretend to be Lisa for the rest of her life out of pure spite, which is either a sign of extreme short-sightedness or extreme dedication. Although, she really didn't have to go so far if she wanted to make the public turn on Lisa. I mean, when Francine wanted people to hate Hector, all she had to do was change a billboard to make him say, "I'm a big liar," and of course everyone believed it.
I'm sorry.
Are you really sorry, Hector? I'm not sure I should believe a liar.
Why would you say that I'm a liar?
I don't know. I guess I read it somewhere.
Imagine J. Jonah Jameson trying this. "Spider-Man just said he's a big liar. This billboard says so." I expect my kids' shows to follow a much more realistic line of logic, thank you very much. Even Hector's longtime friend Paul the Gorilla immediately turns on him. Oh, what's that? You expect me to explain to you why the characters are friends with a giant gorilla? I couldn't even if I wanted to. My favorite attempt by the pranksters to ruin the electric company's reputation was when Manny and Danny tried to launch a giant balloon that said, you know what, I'll let them explain it.
And they'll fly so high up that everyone will read it. Those 6 glorious words. The electric company doesn't like you.
I see no flaws with this plan. And then they sing a ska song about their evil plan, because, I mean, what else are they supposed to do in that situation? The electric company kinda had a quota in that every episode had to include at least one song. And look, they obviously can't all be winners, but some of these songs are legitimate bops that will get stuck in my head from time to time to this day. Songs like She's a Nice Girl,
She's a nice girl with a sunny personality. A nice girl, she can do no wrong. She's a dream girl, the dream is a reality. The girl that makes you wanna sing a song.
the Danny Rebus Blues,
You made Danny Rebus sad, you made Danny Rebus blue. Why do you do these things to Danny? What did Danny do to you?
Help Me Clear My Name,
You knew me before, and I am the same. And now you have to help me clear my name.
and We've Got Skills.
We got skills, we got mad, super fast, special skills.
Wait, why is Jessica not singing there? Anyway, here's Lin-Manuel Miranda as a rapping cowboy hot dog. I'm numb to it at this point. Yeah, between the main story sections of the show, the electric company also had a lot of weird little skits, I guess, that served to reinforce the grammatical lesson of the episode. These take up a significant amount of the episode's runtime, and they range from really cool stuff like these speed drawing segments to whatever this is. But these skits got a lot of relatively big names in them. I already mentioned Lin-Manuel Miranda, who wasn't as big as he is now when he did this, but it's still cool that he's here. Using rap to teach kids vocab and grammar is honestly genius. It's a real match made in heaven. They also got John Leguizamo, and hey, it's Corey in the house. I remember enjoying these skits as a kid, but as an adult, yeah, I'm getting nothing out of them. They really want to hammer the lesson of the episode into your head.
I.e. sometimes sounds like I, as in flies.
Yeah.
fries, and tries.
Yeah, I get it.
Sometimes it's
Yes, I understand. Stop. Please stop. I can't learn anymore. My brain can only get so full.
Ick! Ick!
sick.
I'm just gonna... Yeah, we don't need to be seeing any of this. I just want to talk about the regular show. Okay, let's finish up by talking about this one episode called Unmuffins, because my god, I don't think they understood the can of worms they were opening with this one. Now, before I tell you about it, let me rip the band-aid off. This episode goes the it was all a dream route, because those cowards clearly didn't want to deal with the moral questions they presented. The basic plot of the episode is that Manny invents these special pastries called unmuffins and unbuns, which, when eaten, turn you into the un version of yourself. You know, if you're good, you turn bad, and if you're bad, you turn good, that sort of thing. Lisa, Keith, and Shock all end up eating Unmuffins and turning evil. God damn it, I forgot to mention Shock. He beatboxes, that's his character, moving on. Coincidentally, Danny also ends up eating an Unmuffin, turning him into Undanny, so it's up to him and Jessica to change the good guys back into good guys. Man, it turns out all Chidi had to do to get into the good place was eat an Unmuffin. I get the one, you remember I said I could have one good place joke, that was my one. Anyway, the implication here is that Undanny and Danny are two completely different people. They sing a song that essentially communicates as much.
You undo Danny, he'll go back to being Danny, and we all know that Danny's the Undanny was. So don't you dare undo me, cause I'll become the true me and go back to doing all the things that Danny does.
In fact, in this song, Undanny pleads not to be turned back into Danny. The man is pleading for his life and smiling the whole time. So, by eating the Unmuffin, did Undanny kill Danny? And by eating the Unbun, would that be Danny killing Undanny? For one to live, the other must die. But who has more of a right to live? Well, obviously it should be Danny, right? He was there first, and he was the one who had his right to choose whether he lives or dies stripped away from him when he unknowingly ate the Unmuffin. But in this world of black and white, good and bad moral objectivism, Undanny is a good guy, whereas Danny is a bad guy. Does that make Undanny's life inherently more important than Danny's? There seems to be no question that Unlisa, Unkeith, and Unshock need to be undone. Not to mention, later in the episode, they trick Manny into eating an Unbun to turn him into Unmanny, so it'll help them. Undanny sings a whole song about how he doesn't want to be undone, but he has no qualms turning Manny into Unmanny? But in the end, there is no moral question. Not only is it all a dream, but Undanny and Unmanny just decide to turn back into Danny and Manny with no reason given. I demand good place level discussions of ethics in my children's show, goddammit. Oh no, I promised I'd only make one good place joke, I guess I gotta end the video. Do I recommend the Electric Company for anyone who didn't grow up watching it? No. But if you do have nostalgia for the show and you have kids who are around the right age to be watching it, it wouldn't hurt to check out a few of the older episodes. I admit, I even got some enjoyment revisiting them. See you next time, guys, and remember, the Electric Company doesn't like you.
The Electric Company doesn't like you. The Electric Company, no, they're not your fans. The Electric Company doesn't like you. This has to be the greatest of our plans. I done played this message and we'll launch it to the sky. It will then be witnessed by all the passers-by. The passers-by will read it, and then they'll realize that their beloved heroes are not the nicest guys.